Hoo-ah! Hoo-ah!
Very good. Very good. You know something? No soup for you! Come back. 1 year. Next!
One large jambalaya, please.
Seinfeld is one of the most critically acclaimed comedy series of all time. Airing between 1989 and 1998, Seinfeld was nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series 7 years in a row, winning in 1993. In 2002, TV Guide even named it the greatest TV show of all time. I never watched Seinfeld during its original run, but when I got to high school, reruns started airing on TBS and my local ABC affiliate. I would race home from school every day to watch the show. Within a year, I had seen pretty much every episode. One day, as I was watching an episode titled The Chronicle, I made a shocking discovery. You see, The Chronicle is a special 1-hour episode that aired just before the series finale. It's a clip show, and usually I hate those because I've seen every episode, so there's nothing new to gain from watching them. But then I noticed a scene in the clip show that I didn't remember.
Over the last 9 years, we've had a lot of experiences. And I'll tell you, when you stop and add them all up, that's what you realize. Watch this. Jerry! Shut up!
This scene shows Jerry and the gang stuck in traffic, and I had no idea which episode it came from. It took a few years before I discovered that the clip was from an episode called The Puerto Rican Day, an episode I'd never seen or even heard of. It turned out this episode had only aired once before being banned for years. Seinfeld has often been described as a show about nothing. Many of the episodes feature characters getting involved in humorous situations while dealing with mundane everyday tasks. Because of this, the show is easy to relate to. In one episode, the cast can't find their car in a parking garage. In another, they're stuck waiting for a table at a Chinese restaurant. George Costanza, a character inspired by co-creator Larry David and played by Jason Alexander, even gets into an argument with someone over a parking space. These are examples many people can relate to. A lot of the show's plots were based on actual experiences of David and the other writers. Despite its critical acclaim, Seinfeld almost never made it on the air.
See, now to me that button's in the worst possible spot. The second button literally makes or breaks the shirt. Look at it. It's too high. It's in no man's land. You look like you live with your mother. Are you through?
Its pilot episode received very mixed reviews. Most audiences didn't find it funny. And I agree with that. I think the pilot is probably one of the worst episodes of the show. The only reason NBC even gave the show a chance was because a Bob Hope special got canceled, leaving the network with some extra money. They ordered 4 more episodes, which at the time was the shortest sitcom order in TV history. The plot of The Puerto Rican Day involved Jerry, Kramer, Elaine, and George getting stuck in traffic due to a parade. Again, traffic jams and the frustrations they cause are experiences anyone who has driven a car can relate to. This episode had 10 writers, including Larry David, which is more than any other episode in the series. The reason? It was one of the last episodes written for the show, so the producers thought it would be fun to have every writer work on it as a cool send-off. However, this proved chaotic, and eventually the writers were split into 2 rooms. One group wrote the first act while the other wrote the second act. Then they would switch scripts and edit them. They also wanted to shoot the episode on location in New York City, but the producers eventually decided against it, fearing that production would be too difficult.
Man, I'm starving.
How can you be hungry after what you ate at that Mets game?
Because ballpark food doesn't count as real food.
Right.
In the episode, Jerry insults the driver of a Volkswagen while leaving a Mets game early. Once they're stuck in traffic due to the Puerto Rican Day parade, they encounter the Volkswagen again. Still holding a grudge against Jerry, the Volkswagen's driver refuses to let them merge.
Could you move your car back a little?
Oh, sorry. I seem to have cut you off.
All right, I think I know where this is going, and I am going somewhere else.
They end up stuck in traffic for so long that Jerry's friends abandon him. George goes to see a movie, Kramer leaves to find a restroom, and Elaine tries to find a taxi on another street. At one point, Elaine leads a group of strangers under a series of bleachers in an attempt to bypass the parade. The scene is a parody of the Poseidon Adventure.
Somebody! Help us!
Mira, there's a beach.
Down here! Help! Let us out.
Get back.
How many of you down there?
Kramer finds a bathroom by pretending to be interested in an apartment at an open house. He notices the Mets game on TV and invites Jerry to come watch it. George later shows up at the apartment and they all realize the car has been abandoned.
Wait a second. Mr. Pennypacker, if you're here, and Mr. Vandelay is also here, then who's watching the factory?
The factory?
The Saab factory?
How do you suppose they did that?
When they return to the car, they find it has been physically moved by a mob of people and thrown into a stairwell. The episode ends with them walking home. So what led to this episode being banned? Well, in one scene, Kramer is playing with a sparkler and accidentally sets a Puerto Rican flag on fire. This causes a group of people to chase him. NBC received numerous complaints and groups protested outside their headquarters. In response, NBC pulled the episode from reruns and their syndication package. It wouldn't air again until 2002, and even then many affiliates chose not to air it. When reruns are shown on TBS, this episode is often skipped, jumping from the maid to the finale. I personally didn't see it until the DVD release. Many cast and crew members, including Seinfeld himself, have said that the producers overreacted. Seinfeld even claimed that people were already accusing the show of racism just based on the title of the episode. He said the complaint started before it even aired. When the episode is aired in Canada, it's sometimes preceded by a content warning that says this program is presented as originally created. It may contain language, attitudes, cultural depictions, and racial prejudices, which may cause offense. I feel like if this situation happened today, it wouldn't cause nearly as much of an uproar, especially with things on shows like South Park and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. In fact, Sunny has often been compared to Seinfeld. I actually think the Puerto Rican Day is a decent episode. The fact that it's about the Puerto Rican Day Parade has very little to do with the actual plot. The writers could have easily picked another event and 95% of the script would still work. While researching this episode, I discovered that there was another banned episode of Seinfeld that was originally called The Gun. It was written and scheduled to be filmed as the 4th episode of Season 2, but when NBC executives found out about it, they pulled the plug. The cast had even done a table read of the episode, but stopped after 20 minutes because of how dark the content was. For years, the exact details of this episode remained a mystery until someone leaked the full script online. In this unfinished episode, Elaine is shocked to discover that one of her neighbors was mugged. She decides to buy a gun for protection. Kramer, of course, knows a guy who can get her one. The B-plot involves Kramer claiming on his most recent flight back from Puerto Rico he had sex with one of the flight attendants. Jerry believes him, but George doesn't, and they bet $1,000 on whether it's true or not. The two then go to the airport to confront the flight attendant. Meanwhile, Kramer takes Elaine to meet his friend Mo, who has many guns and still lives with his parents. Mo offers Elaine a gun for free because he considers his guns his friends and would never sell a friend. Elaine feels uncomfortable about the whole situation and backs out. Instead, she buys a toy gun. Elaine then meets up with Jerry and George at the airport because she's also curious about Kramer's story. When they confront Connie, the flight attendant, she seems embarrassed and denies knowing who Kramer is. As Elaine searches through her purse for a picture of Kramer, she accidentally pulls her toy gun out, and they are all arrested when the police think it's a real gun. The episode ends with Kramer arriving at Jerry's apartment with a letter from Connie who says she's quitting her job as a flight attendant. George and Jerry argue over if this is proof that Kramer's story was true. The episode was written by longtime Seinfeld writer Larry Charles, who wanted to create a dark episode featuring comedy that was unusual for a sitcom. The script was approved, sets were being built, and guest stars were already being booked. According to interviews with the cast, it was Julia Louis-Dreyfus who was most upset about the episode and refused to do it, especially because the script had her holding a gun to her head while making jokes about the Kennedy assassination. It's likely there were other episodes that were written but never filmed, but The Gun, aka The Bet, is the only one I found that actually began production. And just like the Puerto Rican Day episode, this one seems tame by today's standards. Let me know in the comments if you think The Gun should have been released, and as always, thank you for watching.